나와 신나는 뻔게 또 신나 샤바와키 신나무 키크라니 짜이 샤바키라니 짜이 키크라니
Like a flower or a tree, I'll throw my head back and sing, I sing, I sing, I sing, I sing.
Turma chayanu na nuka mahu anuri nuka mai nuka waka na anuri nu yuyuwa na wa sina bukonge tushina shabawaki shina mukirani tsai shabakirani tsai mukirani vai sharai tushina vupunk and tushina shavawaki. Shinamu kikirani, tsai shavakirani, tsai makikirani.
Three, two, one. Hold on 1 second. Are those rabid liberals or Clint furry girlfriends? No one really knows anymore. Welcome back, beautiful and amazing human beings. My name's Luke Rudowski here of thebestpoliticoshow.com, and we will be going live for the next hour discussing all the latest and crazy news developing right now. As, of course, there's still a bunch of people devastated in the Carolinas, but don't worry. The government is sending more money to foreign lands that it bombed. As, of course, there's a really interesting reaction here that I think is worth looking at as Elon Musk is jumping for joy for Donald Trump, saying officially...
Dangerous to advertise the dogs and cats with the Haitian migrants.
Yes, we'll get into that probably as well here, as Elon Musk is now a part of Dark MAGA, as we are also going to be brought closer towards a bigger global conflict in the Middle East. We'll be discussing that, plus a lot more, all here for the next 2 hours. So please share this broadcast with your friends and family members. It really does mean a lot to us, especially in the face of a lot of YouTube algorithm shenanigans that have been happening here. But hey, we're also live on many other platforms. And more importantly, you guys could also be a part of the show just by simply signing up to lukeunfiltered.com. When you do that, you get access to a Telegram channel. I am inside of that Telegram channel right now. You want to call and ask us whatever you want and be a part of the conversation, you can do that right now just by simply signing up to lukeunfiltered.com. First-time callers also get a free supplement from wearechange.shop, and we're going to be doing our best to read any and all super chats, but of course we are going to be prioritizing the Streamlabs super chat with the link down in the description below. As of course, joining us for this conversation is someone who did me in whiteface recently and was absolutely hilarious, and that of course is Hotep. Jesus, Hotep. For the people who don't know you, who are you and how would you introduce yourself?
Oh, who am I? I am everything and nothing. I am the Alpha, the Omega. I am the Eternal. You can find me at hotepjesus.com.
Nice.
Probably the best thing to say, right?
Yeah.
No, I'm glad to be here. Yeah, we did the... that was funny. They turned me into a white guy.
Was that like literal like white makeup, or was it just like all like CGI?
It was some Photoshop stuff.
Okay.
I don't know what the end.
I was disappointed. I was expecting you to come here in like total whiteface.
Yeah.
And I was like, we're. That's what I would have done. But
somebody.
And then Clint was thinking about doing the inverse, and I automatically like, Clint, no, you can't do that.
No, I think it's a great idea. I think all of the white people, like this is how we come together.
This is how we
all
end
of the
racism.
black people do whiteface. All of the white people do blackface. I think we can fix racism today, folks. Let's do it.
I deeply appreciated it, and I literally had like hundreds of people like send me that photo, be like,
crazy.
"Yo, what are you doing? What are you like?" And I thought it was absolutely
like
hilarious.
The white Luke, yeah.
I'm gonna pull up that image.
It looks
in a little bit
just
here.
like him.
It looks exactly like me.
It's honestly concerning.
It's terrifying, but it's great to have you here. We're going to be discussing a lot of the crazy things happening in this world. You just had an event here in Miami. We'll get into that and everything that you're into as well. Clint is also in the house as well.
Yo, Clint Russell, host of Liberty Lockdown. If you haven't subscribed by now, you're a real piece of work. I also do Tower Gang, which you shouldn't subscribe to, so don't do that. And at Liberty Lockpod on X. If you guys want to follow me there and support my work, you can subscribe, and I will follow you back. Thank you, guys. Steph on the buttons.
Steph, who's going to give us a dissertation about weather modification today, right?
I can't wait.
Whoa. We'll see. This is Steph. We are Change, pushing the buttons, ready to go.
All right, let's just get into it. I think the biggest story this week overall is the kind of larger discontent that the federal government has towards its citizens that are dealing with a very heavy, very serious situation, especially in the Carolinas, where we get images like this with someone who painted their rooftop, "Please help us." There's people, dogs, and cats here. No, this is not an invitation towards a Haitian barbecue like Clint would like to believe. This is actual Americans that are trying to get help, and they're not really getting it. As, of course, the current front runner for the Democratic political party came out and says, don't worry. We're going to be helping the people of Lebanon. Yes, you heard that correctly. Lebanon has already received $385 million this year from the U.S. federal government, from you, from your taxes that the government took away from you. And now they are announcing an additional $157 million because your tax dollars also sent bombs over there and destroyed and levied local populations that now your tax dollars are going to be rebuilding and paying and, of course, fixing all of this as the people of Lebanon. No, sorry, the people of the Carolinas, they're given $750 each by the federal government.
And it's a loan.
Is it really?
It's a loan.
Is it really a loan?
Yes,
Holy cow.
It's a FEMA loan. Allegedly, you will have to pay that back. Do you think that the Lebanese or the Palestinians or the Israelis or the Ukrainians are going to be paying back any of those loans? Well, technically, the Ukrainian war funding is also largely a loan. I promise you will not be seeing a penny of that
It's
back.
only going to be payable if they win the war.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
which
Good luck with that.
probably is not going to happen, depending on what the definition of winning is. But Hotep, I don't know if you've been paying attention to what's been going on, but it does seem like the government just says, I don't care about you. I don't give a damn about you. And we're just going to extort more of your money. Then this is the real kind of insult to injury here. They take your money through, of course, this largely large system, and they're like, yeah, we're just going to give it to foreign governments. You need it. You need help. Good luck.
Yeah, I'm black, so this is par for the course for me. You know, it's like the whites are finally joining us. It's like, hey, welcome.
We're disenfranchised, all of us now too. You know.
But I think we've seen all throughout history where the government has not shown much care for its people. I mean, you go back to the early days, you got things like the Whiskey Rebellion, right? You got the Ludlow Massacre out in Colorado. There's been many instances. So for me, it's, I look at Western history because that's really what we're dealing with. We're dealing with Western history. We're dealing with the CFR. We're dealing with the Round Table. These sort of globalist positions is what we call them now. This Westernism, this Anglophilism. Yeah, it's been trudging along in the same course for me. I mean, if we go back and look at the people who were funding Trotsky during the Bolshevik Revolution, that's going to go right back to
Ruh-roh.
right?
Oh, we're going deep already.
Well, no, it goes back to the Rockefellers. It goes back to a lot of the bigger kind of banking families that helped start the U.S. Federal Reserve in this country.
They're one of them. Yeah, but direct help from British intelligence.
Yeah, and then same with the Chinese. You look at Mao Zedong's rise; it couldn't really happen if it wasn't for the larger foundation of the Rockefellers and other eugenicists here in the United States that were supporting that larger kind of cultural revolution that it seems like we're kind of stepping into in the modern day and age currently today.
Yeah, but what we're dealing with is an invasion of a foreign army. And now it's the same thing as back in the day. And back in the day when they had foreign armies, you would conquer some set of people, then those people become mercenaries for your army. Well, the new mercenaries are the people coming across the border unlawfully, right? That's the new invader. Yep. And that's what we're dealing with here.
Fun story, because you brought up the CFR. I was personally banned from the Council on Foreign Relations, and the person who banned me was Bill Gates' girlfriend, who literally called me. I had Bill Gates' girlfriend, true story, no lie, because when I was in New York, when I was growing up there, the Council
not Melinda Gates, but his girlfriend?
Yep.
Okay.
No, sorry, Eric Schmidt's girlfriend.
Okay.
Apologies. I'm mixing the two up. I'm mixing the two
CEO
chubby, fat oligarchs up. Eric Schmidt's girlfriend personally called me up and said, Mr. Radowski, you are not welcome here. You were not supposed to show up. You keep showing up anyway. This time we are going to personally arrest you when you show up on our grounds, because I used to show up there.
I love it.
And then they used to have press conferences. So I used to show up and I used to confront all the politicians.
This is why you're a legend, Luke.
And then they were like, okay, Radowski, you're banned. So I came up with a new name, Bill, last name DeBerg, and then I got in there a second time, and then I thought of a fake name, and then I put on disguises until literally.
I just put it together. Bill DeBerg.
Yeah. And then I literally came to the point where they were calling me. I was like, how did you get my number? She's like, that's not important. Do not show up. We will arrest you. We know how you look like. There's, I was like,
hilarious.
yeah, there's no, really a good way to hide this nose. But
That's why you control the media, Luke.
I wish. Look, YouTube, look. Put us in the algorithm. Let's go. Let's make it favorable. Technically, I'm also a person of color, according to some organizations and groups, because I'm, Slavic, and the Polish people, the original slaves, the original OG slaves. So
Wait, is that what makes you a person of color? Is that at
OG
one point
slaves.
your people were slaves? Is that how it works?
Slavs are the POC of white people.
yes.
Interesting. I had never heard that.
Or the Polish people are like the Mexicans of Europe. So that's how
Interesting.
we're seeing.
I just want to make a quick point about this because I think what's interesting is that these seem to be quite legitimate grievances that are coming from Trump country when it comes to this hurricane non-response. And yet what you're seeing is like, instead of trying to address their concerns, it's just fact checks. And I think that I think it's really important that people recognize like we've entered a new paradigm. Same with election security, same with all of these other the attacks on Trump. Basically, instead of actually a genuine pursuit of truth, it is just a dismissal and a fact checking. I just think it's going to infuriate and inflame tensions in this country even more than they already have been. And I can't believe that this is their tactic, as opposed to being like, hey, we're going to make sure we get you everything you need, and then actually following through with it, because it's such an easy thing to do. Instead, they're going to offer them a pittance and then just tell them that they're lying about the circumstances, under which they're languishing. So I think I don't know if it's an op being ran or if it's just the government is so corrupt and useless at this point that this is the best they can do. But either way, it's going to create a very bad circumstance.
This is where Ye said George Bush don't care about black people.
Yep.
This is the same.
That was Katrina.
Situation.
Yep.
That's Katrina.
Yep.
Yeah.
When do we have that now? We need the guy who's next to him. What was his name? Myers?
Michael
Mike Myers.
Michael Myers needs to come out right now and say Joe Biden and Kamala Harris does not care about
White people.
the Republican people in the predominantly conservative area.
Just say white people. Let's just flip it.
Yeah, I mean, you might as well. We should do an AI generation of that because you can make AI fake clips. And let's do Kanye like stunned and all freaked out. And Michael Myers, he doesn't care about white people.
The funny thing is Kanye might say it himself.
Yeah,
Right.
If
He
anyone
might
would
actually say that.
Yeah.
So.
if anyone would, but there's a long history of this, and you brought up a lot of kind of important context to how the U.S. government treats its own citizens. There's also a lot of crazy scientific and biological studies that the U.S. government conducted illegally against unsuspecting citizens in some really cruel and awful ways. Not just the Tuskegee experiments, the MK Ultra experiments, but there's also radiation experiments where the U.S. government is like, we're just going to radiate this entire town here. We're going to see what happens. Oh, we got this weird chemical. We don't know what it does. Put it in the water supply for this town here. Let's blast St. Louis with some radioactivity here. Let's see what's going to happen. Let's launch some weird kind of biological weapon in the New York City subway system and see how it's going to be traced and tracked by everybody. That's literally the stuff that they're doing without our kind of acquiescence, and that's the stuff that we know about. Now imagine the stuff that they're doing right now that we don't even know about. That's where my brain automatically goes.
That's what everyone's asking about these hurricanes.
Yeah, and that's what I was going to kind of bring up in a little bit, because a lot of people have different kind of conspiracy theories, especially now with a new hurricane brewing in the Gulf of Mexico that is also headed towards Florida, allegedly in just a few days from now as well, that a lot of people believe was kind of artificially made. We'll talk about that in a little bit, but I really want to hone in on Kamala's comments here, because she said specifically, the people of Lebanon are facing an increasingly dire humanitarian situation. You could very easily just replace Lebanon with the people of the United States. She goes on, I am concerned about the security and well-being of civilians suffering in Lebanon, and will continue working to help meet the needs of all citizens there. And a lot of people are just saying, you could just replace Lebanon with the people of America, and that makes perfect sense.
Just say the people of North Carolina. Like, it would actually be a really good pitch.
Yeah, the white people are dealing with some significant issues in the countryside. But I think this was kind of deliberate. I think there's more to this than we're actually letting on to. It's not just because a lot of people are like, oh, yeah, the government is incompetent. The government doesn't really get stuff done. The government gets a lot of things done for the special interest groups that pull their strings. And I don't think they're really that incompetent as a lot of people make them out to be. I think it's a scapegoat for a lot of people to kind of excuse a lot of the more kind of more dastardly, more evil behavior of government. But seriously, $2 million to the Carolinas, $157 million to Lebanon. There's a lot of geopolitical importance to Lebanon, too, of course, as our tax dollars are being sent there to bomb that country. But there's also a lot of lies from this administration, as Elon Musk just retweeted this on Twitter saying, yep, from a tweet that says there's zero accountability. It's just one lie after another. Here's the clip.
It's just categorically false. No, Biden did not take FEMA relief money to use on migrants. So FEMA regional administrators have been meeting with city officials on site to coordinate available federal support from FEMA and other federal agencies. Funding is also available through FEMA's emergency food and shelter program to eligible local governments and non-for-profit organizations upon request to support humanitarian relief for migrants.
Yes, we didn't give any money to migrants through FEMA. Yes, we gave money to migrants through FEMA. Just another kind of bold-faced lie that the corporate media is going to be running with and saying that you're a conspiracy theorist for, of course, putting the two together, which is another kind of slap in the face of the American public.
Just to clarify, the way that they're fact-checking this one, this is a good example of what I was talking about just a minute ago, is that they're saying that the funding that they get authorized by Congress for FEMA disaster relief and then the program that's helping the migrants is two separate authorizations. So they're saying, we're not taking funding from the emergency relief fund. We're taking it from this other one, but it's all coming from FEMA. So, in fact, the conservatives, once again, are basically telling the truth, and they're being fact-checked on a technicality. It's an absurdity.
Yeah, but hey, the head of Homeland Security is shopping for expensive clothes, and man, what a soy boy. Gosh darn it. This is the images that I think a lot of people are sharing around right now to show the larger discontent and the larger kind of mentality of a lot of the people in charge right now that do represent. I do believe this is kind of a sensationalistic reaction to this. I see a lot of people kind of rage baiting and clickbaiting, but I do believe this white woman, large set white woman, specifically kind of outlined her kind of feelings towards all this that I think is a sentiment that is being felt by some kind of elites in Washington, D.C.
So when I seen the hurricane hit North Carolina and Tennessee, the first thing I thought was, damn, there goes some racists. There we go. We got some gone. And then I just seen this video that like the area it hit is like sundown town after sundown town after sundown town, and they are just completely flattened and gone. And I was like, God's work. God's work.
Yeah.
Man.
Fat white women. As of course,
Black dudes are already interested. She ain't got to be doing this.
But is this the thinking? Have we been divided so much in America that this is the kind of sentiment here? That is the kind of quiet part that she just said out loud? Or is this just someone being stupid, highlighting their idiocy, and it's kind of a misnomer? What do you guys think? Do you think this is the kind of thinking by some of these elites, or do you think this is just one isolated case of a stupid person? Where do you think we are in this country?
I generally tend not to listen to women.
Respect, dude.
Respectively.
They shouldn't be allowed to vote either.
Yeah, let's talk about the 19th, right? For me,
Here we go.
We got into a very stimulating conversation the last show about this that I thought was pretty fascinating.
My take on this is very simple. If your women feel compelled to vote, that is a sign that your society is already dying. Your
Man, that's tough.
So it's not that they shouldn't vote. It's the fact that they are voting as the red alert. It's like, hey, hold on. Why are our women so politically active? They should be home active, right? And the men should be politically active, and the men should be out here. But because women have so much of a say, oh man, that means, you know, the part of our species that is most susceptible to psychology and espionage, propaganda, and marketing and advertising is the one that's moving and shaking things. And it's not a good look, you know. Women shouldn't have to do that type of work, you know. Women, and thing is, women's role is much more important than politics. That's a 3D. That's a very physical thing. That's a man's realm, right? War and all of that. I think the woman's job is much more important because she's literally creating our world. She creates the future. The kids are going to act like mama. So if the mothers were focused on being mothers, the world wouldn't need tyrannical governments. We'd be able to have a beautiful society. But the mothers create the children. But if you take the mother out the home and now she's voting and she's marching and she's corporate America, who's raising the kids? Oh, that's right. Rockefeller Education is educating the kids. YouTube is educating the kids. TikTok, Sneeko is educating the kids, you know? So
Sneeko's probably the least bad of what you just listed.
I mean, you know,
Jack Dorsey, not Jack Dorsey. What's the other kid who just crashed his car?
Oh yeah.
Jack Doherty. Sorry,
Doherty. Yeah.
whoever it is, right? That this is who's going to raise your children, and not to say Sneeko is good or bad, but Sneeko is going to enter the realm of influence at some point. I talk to my boys and I bring up the name Sneeko. They know who he is. They know who Andrew Tate is, right? They know who all these people are. Sometimes better than me, you know. So it's about what I say is, you know, we got to go a deviceless society.
how do you implement that? How do you? How can we? You ever
heard of
agree.
Amish people?
Yeah. Yep. I agree with the sentiments of this kind of larger technological takeover and mind virus. But is it too late? Is there any way to hone it back, especially with how addicted some people are?
Let me ask you this: what's the first red flag for a woman? Social media. If she got social media, if she has a phone, oh my God, you have a phone, woman? You know, she should be like, you know, a physical phone, you know, where you got to put your finger in it, you know, and spin the numbers, you know.
Bring back phone booths.
Phone.
Yeah, we cannot allow women and children to have these devices. These devices destroy our future.
Bro, I needed you here on Wednesday. I needed the backup.
I'm being so serious. So we need to create a society. We call it Hotepistan. We got a society where children are raised up until the age of 14 with like limited access to devices. Like if we don't have a class specifically on these devices, you are not allowed to have the device. And women as well. Like what would you be thinking about if the internet didn't tell you what to think about?
Right.
Yeah.
It's hard to know. I mean, like, I'm just so immersed in it at this point that, like, I have no idea what my perspective or my worldview would be if I just didn't have that.
Yeah.
Like, it's incredibly impactful.
A lot of people would freak out, just gotta say.
Well, a lot of people are dependent on this, not just for their kind of
it's an
dopamine,
addiction.
but for every aspect of life. Their dating life,
Every
their
aspect
family
of life that is responsible for men.
Yep.
Yeah, so we should have the devices.
I argue get rid of them entirely, regardless of gender.
But if you look at what like the adult industry has done to the mind of young men, if you're going to be arguing that women shouldn't have it, I would argue that if you look at the larger kind of bastardization of the young man and his development and his brain chemistry, I would argue that is just as much of a net negative as is the kind of Instagram algorithm that is warping the minds of the women that we just saw here, that think that it's okay to believe this, that think it's okay to hate people and want them to die because they don't believe in the same kind of religious, elitist, kind of corporatist ideas that she was taught to believe in. Mm-hmm. So,
for the record, that girl is a product of the public school system that you're talking about, and Hollywood and the political establishment that has basically programmed her to feel that way.
If she's not trolling and baiting, because a lot of people troll now, and a lot of people bait to get attention and clicks and likes.
But even if she's not doing that,
if
other people do.
If she's being legitimate here, she most likely is someone who's dealing with a lot of MK Ultra mind viruses that have been injected into her mind by the technocrats that are putting these ideas into young women's mind. She probably doesn't have a strong father figure, and she probably doesn't have a good relationship with men. Let's just be honest here. And she was never taught to have them because sadly a man wasn't in her life before.
And for the record,
And then why aren't men in women's lives? I think it's a dual process, but I think the adult industry has also warped the minds of young men and has prevented them from being able to be in healthy relationships as well.
Think about the inverse of this. There has been examples of this. I think there was a big storm that hit New York a couple years ago. You don't see this, like the right doesn't feel that way about the left, especially when it's natural disasters. They don't look at that stuff and go like, good thing we got rid of a few of them. So this is really like, yeah, she might be being hyperbolic, but this is a genuine sentiment that does exist on the left, and it's dangerous, man. I don't know.
Yeah, is that the sentiment of the people in our government right now? That's what I
think
was
it's
kind of
worse.
asking.
I think it's worse. I think they don't actually look at it like that. They just look at it like they don't care what your politics are. They just don't care about you at all.
Yeah.
Like if you vote for them, like cool, you're helping them maintain power. But beyond that, they just couldn't care less.
Yeah. And if you're going to be giving money to Lebanon and not to your own people, how about we stop financing the larger kind of bombs that we're dropping on Lebanon right now in cooperation with what's happening with that government inside of the Middle East that we are aiding and abetting. As of course, we have the latest news coming from the south of Lebanon as the Israeli government now is demanding new evacuations as the bombing campaigns there continue in that particular country. Very interestingly, the French government has just announced that they are halting the armed deliveries to Israel because of the war in Gaza. I think it might have to do more with what's happening also with Lebanon, since there are a lot of French citizens and French-speaking people inside of Lebanon as well. What do you guys think about this kind of ongoing, brewing, expanding conflict in the Middle East right now that is engulfing our kind of Western politics?
I got one phrase, and I get it from Donald Jerome Trump: drill, baby, drill.
Wait, is the J stand for Jerome? Because this is news to me.
Nah.
Okay.
For me, it does.
I just wanted to make sure.
Drill, baby, drill. That's the motto. That's what I see on my screen. I see low gas prices. I see drill, baby, drill.
So you're saying drill, become independent, energy independent, and then just forget about that area.
I know that area is our.
That is our area.
That is. Yeah, we've got plans for the Levant. This is the Levant. Yeah, the Levant, Iran, formerly known as Persia, Syria, formerly known as the Turkish Empire, the Ottoman Empire. Yeah, this is all a continuation of one big thing. Because what you went from colonialism to proxy colonialism, where you grant these people alleged freedom, right? And it's like, yeah, you have your freedom, but it's like, yeah, as long as you have the leaders we say,
right,
in that are in our pockets, right?
You can democratically vote for whoever you want as long as they get along with us.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, look at what we did with Venezuela. Venezuela had elections, and then there's a whole bunch of propaganda in the United States about how their elections were fraudulent, and it's just like, oh, really? Oh, okay, sure. So yeah, when we look at the situation with Lebanon, I see drill, baby, drill. I see people going into the Golan Heights. A lot of this has been about the Suez Canal, right? Control of the Suez Canal. That's part of the reasons, a major reason why the West wanted to be in there, why the British wanted to be in there. Access to the Suez Canal, control of the Mediterranean. It's great from a economic and military standpoint.
Yep.
Well, there's also the possibility of a second canal being built through Gaza as well. That also has some serious considerations that a lot of people are kind of proposing as well. That would also kind of expand the kind of trade territory. You look at a lot of the wars in human history, most of them are fought because of trade, because of a larger kind of economic resource reasons. And I think that's an important one to kind of look at with what's happening right now in the Middle East right now, as, of course, this is going to be affecting energy prices. I think think the instability of the region is going to make the prices go up. The latest news that we got right now is that the Iranians have shut down their airspace, and they are expecting more retaliation from the Israelis that might be going after their nuclear facilities, their nuclear reactors, and also their oil infrastructure as well. And if that happens, we're going to need to drill wherever we can, especially domestically here inside of the United States, because the price of energy and the price of oil and the price of gas is going to go up dramatically. That's my perspective. And I think this is creating more larger economic instability that we're going to have to deal with in a very severe way.
I've been given fairly positive coverage to Donald Trump just because the opposition to him is so evil. But Trump came out yesterday and said, kind of jokingly, but pretty seriously, that they ought to be striking the nuclear facilities in Iran. And I was like, good God, man. Really? I don't know if you saw that clip.
I
Luke,
did not, no.
Disappointing to put it mildly. Don, I'm not.
Why you don't like that?
Because I don't want any more wars.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Oh, you're anti-war.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I got you.
What is your argument for bombing the nuclear reactors of Iran?
No, I think I'd be anti-war too. I think,
Okay.
yeah. I think I would be anti-war. I mean, I change positions based upon how I want to look at the situation. You know, like if I'm looking at it from the West, it's like, yeah, let's bomb the nuclear facilities. If I'm thinking like a human being, I'm like, I'm anti-war. Like it's like, what seat do you want to call this from?
No, I mean, tactically, I can see an argument for it, but at the same time, like, I don't think that they have nuclear weapons. I don't think that they're really close to it, to be honest.
But it's not their nuclear facilities. It's their nuclear reactors that they use for energy.
I
No,
understand.
but you making a good point, right? Like you're saying, I don't think they have nuclear weapons. Like where have we heard that before, right? Remember Saddam Hussein.
Oh, okay.
When they said they had nuclear weapons,
right.
It's the same game all over again.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, that's my concern is that this is just propaganda to try and get us into a war. I just don't like hearing it. Like this is this type of stuff that you would expect to hear from John Bolton, Lindsey Graham, you know, the normal old guard GOP. When I hear Trump saying it, I'm like, yo, that's not the lane that I want to see you in, man. Like I want to see you as this populist dissident that points out the fact that, hey, we are sending billions in bombs to one side of a war. We're sending billions in aid to repair the other side of the war in both Gaza and Lebanon. And we're sending, you know, a pittance to the American people who are destitute and lost everything in 4 or 5 different American states. That's the message that I want to hear. That's the message that I believe in. And I hope that he'll get back to that.
Yeah, you can't make the argument, I'm going to stop World War III. But we got to bomb those nuclear facilities over there. You can't make that argument. You can't say, I'm going to come in and I'm going to be the president that's going to stop all these wars. But we'll let one country finish what they're doing. We'll just, you know, keep going. One conflict will keep going. But I'll end another one. That's not stopping all wars. Yeah. And I think that's an important conversation that I think a lot of people need to have, and a lot of people should be holding Trump's feet to the fire with.
Yeah, just a point of clarification. He didn't say that he wanted the American military to be striking the nuclear reactors. He was basically supporting Israel in doing so. But
so what's the correct course of action? Do you believe? Let's say you was president, you think you could just stop the war, and say that's it, it's over, leave it alone?
No.
That's what he's promising.
But that's their business. Is all I'm saying. Like,
no, but how would you handle it though?
Well, if I had any entry at all, it would just be in diplomacy, trying to get the two parties to the negotiating table to work towards peace. That's it. I'm not interested in sending bombs or aid.
That seemed like the hard part.
Well, yeah, that is the hard part.
They're cousins. You know what I'm saying?
Of course, and it may not work, but my point is like, I don't want to be participating financially. Like, and that's what we're doing right now. We're funding both sides of this thing.
Yeah.
That has to stop. If that stops, I think then the negotiating table becomes more readily available. Mm-hmm. At least that's my hope.
Yeah.
I mean, the United States controls the purse. The United States is financing a lot of the global markets with the U.S. petrodollar, and with the larger kind of economic sanctions and the larger kind of economic war that they're waging, especially with the IMF and the World Bank, you could come to the table and be like, look, you're not going to do anything because we're not going to allow it. And we're going to make sure we're going to bankrupt you if you will continue this fighting, continue this nonsense, continue this idiocy, because, you know, us paying for the bombs and then us paying to repair the damage from those bombs, it's just a cycle that I don't want to be involved in. I don't want to participate in that larger kind of cycle that is so destructive, so idiotic, and so stupid, in my opinion, absolutely just totally backwards.
What about accelerating it? Right?
What would that do?
So in order to end the war, you just hurry up and just, knock everything down. Just hit all the targets, boom, 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 and like eliminate your enemy faster, right? Instead of slowing it down.
I mean, we saw that with
logistically, you couldn't do that to Iran. It's enormous.
Yeah, we saw that with Iraq, and then what happened with
they
Iraq?
got the tunnels in the mountains. Yeah.
I mean, you can't even look what they've done to Gaza, and it still lasted a year.
Yeah.
So, and that's a tiny. That's like, I don't even know how many. Couple hundred square miles. Iran is enormous. Like.
Plus, with the blowback theory, you create more radical Islamists.
Yeah, whoever survives goes nuts.
You radicalize a larger portion of the population. We saw what happened with Iraq, specifically with the United States coming in, taking over, destroying their governments, bombing everything, taking care of all these territories and hotspots. And then what happened afterwards? It was massive sectarian violence. There was a huge vacuum of power. We had radical Islamists that were joining up with the former Iraqi government members, the Ba'athist members, and then they just created ISIS. And then we had a huge destabilized area where it allowed Iran to have more of a sphere of influence. And Iran wouldn't be as powerful if it wasn't for the United States bombing and destroying Iraq, its chief rival and its chief enemy in the region.
Luke, I got to fact check you there. We were met as liberators.
Okay.
I don't know if you missed it, but it
I think
actually went really well.
I think that one guy with the sandal definitely was very happy about George Bush
Yeah,
liberating
that's
him.
how they say thank you in Iraq.
So
Throwing a
strange
sandal.
cultures, strange people. But no, it was an utter disaster that also created the refugee crisis that also spurred on a lot of NGOs to use as an excuse to, of course, import more people into the European countries, saying, look, these people have nowhere to go. Look, we bombed them, we destroyed them. Now we got to take them in. And that, of course, didn't work out well for Europe or other places of the world as well. But
It hasn't worked out well for us either.
No,
I mean, we're
no.
35 trillion in debt. From some estimates, they think that 9 or 10 trillion of our national debt is a direct consequence of the global war on terror. So almost a third of our national debt, which, by the way, is totally unsustainable. And with the Fed hiking interest rates, we're looking at over 1 trillion in interest payments alone. Our federal government only takes in $5 trillion a year. That means that over 20% of our taxes will go directly to servicing our debt. That is, if you've ever been broke, if you have 20% of your income going to service your debt, that means that you are very close to the end. And that is with interest rates still at very low levels. If they go higher, then that just increases. It's like getting the interest rate on your credit card hiked up. So very dangerous times, man.
Did you hear about how much the Fed owes the Treasury?
How much?
$200 billion
Oh, yeah.
since the Biden administration.
I'm surprised it's only that much, honestly.
Some dude just uncovered it. He just went and did the numbers. Some dude just went and did the research, and yeah, $200 billion they owe the Treasury.
Wow.
Mm-hmm. It's like a never before seen thing.
Yeah.
Because usually, they get the interest from the banks and they pay the Treasury, they buy the bonds, et cetera, what they owe the Treasury. That's crazy.
That's weird.
It doesn't even make sense.
No, because don't they have the capacity to print?
Yeah, let's just burr.
Technically, no. Technically, they don't. The Federal Reserve doesn't print money.
They use collateral and then they lend against it, I think, is how it actually functions. I don't know. It's so esoteric.
Yes. They also do that as well. But what they do is they basically say, we act as money manager. Okay, so they're their financial advisor of the United States government. And they say, if you are going...
They should be fired if they're our financial advisor.
They should be absolutely fired. But they basically say, Treasury, you can print notes based upon, these bonds that we're purchasing.
There you
right?
go.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
But
so
yeah.
that's the shell game.
Yeah.
Well, it's going to be interesting to see what happens financially with Donald. What did you say? Jerome Trump.
Donald Jerome Trump.
Very
Dude,
interesting.
I'm stealing that one.
We might take that one and use it as well. As of course, a lot of people are putting a lot of faith into him, potentially also using Bitcoin as a way to get out of the larger financial mess that this country is in. Hotep, you look like you have some interesting thoughts about that particularly, but it'll be interesting to kind of hear your perspective on this, since there's a lot lot of people in the Bitcoin community that are very happy with what Donald Trump is doing. You don't look too excited, but I also kind of wanted to specifically ask you, how are you dealing with the larger kind of financial ramifications out there, as it does seem like a lot of people are in some very serious financial problems, and it is becoming more of a pressing issue for the majority of Americans.
Yeah, and I can't go a whole week without somebody asking me for some money.
Well,
Family members, friends. I had some people stay with us this year for a couple of days because they were homeless.
oh,
Yeah, I have never witnessed anything like this a day in my life. I don't know if this is a product of success. You know, I don't know if it was when I was broke, was I the guy calling, you know? But I've never seen anything like this before, where so many people are just dealing with financial issues. And it's pretty scary. It's pretty scary.
yeah. No, I've been telling people to try to set up local markets, try to get to know their neighbors, try to get to know your local farmers, and start to utilize and build up skills that they could use in order to, of course, be there for each other and fellow Americans. Because I think that's the only kind of real solution. I think that's the only real way out of this. Because if you put your faith in the system usually lets you down. And I think voting with your dollar, especially when it comes to just looking at your finances, seeing where you're kind of putting your energy into, is something that I think everyone should be doing. And that's why we've been telling people, hey, sign up on all these alternative independent media platforms. Stop signing up to all these other kind of big platforms that don't give a damn about you, and use it as a form of mind control in order to make you do bad decisions that incentivize the larger kind of interests in this country that have hijacked it and taken it over. But that's just my 2 cents. I don't know what you're kind of dealing with, seeing, or kind of utilizing as a solution for you.
To handle
The financial issue.
the financial issues right now. I don't know. I just hustle, I guess.
It does seem like more than ever, you have to work harder than ever before, at least from my perspective, especially when it comes to the work I do, the content I have to produce, the videos I have to produce, and the marketing that I have to kind of figure out and do. It hasn't been easy, I'll be honest. It's been kind of a tough road trying to crack and figure everything out.
It's not for me. It's just a bit different because I'm a homeschool dad. So when I think about investment, I think about investing in kids. So I spend a tremendous amount of time focusing on my kids. So I really don't focus on income and stuff like that. I have several businesses that make me income, but a lot of that stuff gets reinvested. For me, it's about building equity. You know, I like building equity. We got election day, a board game coming out soon. I used to kick it with this dude. He was my real estate mentor and very much the way a life mentor, financial mentor, Dave the Diamond Oswald. And Dave used to have this book. It was called Rivers of Income. And what he used to say is you always want to have multiple streams of income. And that's the thing that will always, help you weather the storm, right? So if one revenue stream is dying down, maybe, the other ones that are sort of sitting there, you can get behind those. So, I've always carried that type of mentality throughout life where I always had multiple jobs, multiple things I could do. So, when things get, a little weird, like especially in media right now, the numbers are down, right? Like it's not like the Trump years at all. We're like down 50%, right?
Yeah, there's definitely something going on. There's something weird going on.
I think it's important not to just diversify your assets, but diversify your income streams. I think your advice is well put and well taken, and I agree. And I think that that's really the kind of economic model that we're entering, where very few people will work a 40-year corporate gig and retire with a gold watch. Like that ain't what we're doing anymore.
Yeah,
so
if you're dependent on Social Security, you're going to be disappointed.
Well, for sure that, but I'm just saying, like, even if you think that you're just going to do what your grandfather did, it ain't happening. Like, most of us are going to have multiple careers. Like, even myself, I ran a very successful mortgage company. Now I'm a full-time political commentator. Like, who would have thought that would have been?
There won't be a middle class.
Well, they're trying to get rid of it. That's for damn sure.
There won't be a middle class.
Yeah.
My response is
They're
there's a
going
middle
to
class
Yeah.
that exists.
Right.
Martha Bueno is also joining us
Thank you for
here
joining
for
us,
this
Martha. I appreciate
conversation.
it.
Hello.
She's coming
Hi,
in here.
everyone.
Clint has to leave a little early, so she's going to take his place. I like your shirt. That's a pretty awesome shirt there, Martha.
I'm. You might have something to do with this shirt.
Maybe, a little bit.
Yeah, it's
Do you
one
know
of my-
Harris? Oh, harm. I'm sorry.
Excuse me.
Oh, no, I
Excuse me.
the microphone was blocking out the right side. My bad.
Oh, okay. We should move that. Yeah. I got it on the bestpoliticalshirts.com.
Nice.
I think it works either way. Do no Harris, take no shit.
Yes, please do no Harris. Thank you. I appreciate that. I like. You know what, Luke? That's a new shirt.
I don't know about
Do
that
no
one.
Harris. Say no to Harris.
Yeah.
Don't pull a Willie Brown.
You'd be the first guy to say no to her.
Damn.
Anyway,
fired.
if you're not
Yes.
doing Harris, a lot of people are doing Trump, as Donald Trump just had his return to Butler, Pennsylvania, the scene of his attempted assassination attempt that, of course, failed. This was a big event that a lot of people were talking about. A lot of people came out, including Elon Musk, that was leaping for joy on the stage. And I think we got some really incredible kind of meme magic from all of this, but also a kind of awkward situation between Donald Trump kind of looking back at Elon, who was kind of in over for himself and jumping around stage.
Can we just acknowledge for a second that Elon Musk's torso is built like a Cybertruck?
Yeah, he's...
Anybody else notice that? Like
that's where he got the design.
I think he modeled the
that's
Cybertruck
where-
off
yeah.
of his chest.
Yeah, he was looking
real.
in the mirror. He just came out of the shower. He's like, I got it. I figured it out.
What your Cybertruck chest has.
I mean, it beats Elon Musk 1.0, which was like super skinny, no hair. You know, he looks better, I think.
He
Yeah,
does.
once you become a billionaire, you do start to look a lot better
Yeah,
to a
yeah.
lot of the women.
Money starts making you look a little hotter. Not
No,
gonna
no, that's for sure true. And his head looks a lot better. His body's a disaster, though. And I want the follow, Elon, so don't hate on me, but I'm just being honest, dog. You're built like a Cybertruck. You got to work on that.
He followed me and then he unfollowed me. So
Oh
there's
no!
that.
Heartbreaking.
Oh no!
yeah.
He probably read a few of your tweets and was like, "Yep, nope."
It's far more autistic, but whatever.
Maybe he likes Clintina. Doesn't like how you, are constantly.
Because I'm blasting his Cybertruck body.
He was watching the live shows that I know of.
Oh, interesting.
But anyway. He might still be watching. Who knows?
Hey, Elon, I'll take a follow,
I'm
please, and thank you.
I'm definitely not getting a follow after this segment.
I have
but whatever.
I have no hate towards anyone, and people get to follow whoever they want to follow. But I thought what Elon had to say during this Butler speech was pretty interesting. I think him being there was also something that brought more significance to this larger event that made people realize, hey, there's people trying to take the life of Donald Trump here that are a serious threat against his life here. So I think yesterday was a big, serious moment that a lot of people understood. We got to kind of come together. Elon Musk predominantly was a major Democratic backer and voter just a few years ago. His transition in this political scene has been absolutely fascinating and absolutely interesting to see, as of course he had these comments to say to everyone there yesterday.
This is a must-win situation. Must win. So I have one ask for everyone in the audience, everyone who watches this video, everyone on the live stream. There's one request. It's very important. Register to vote. Okay? And get everyone you know and everyone you don't know, drag them to register to vote. There's only 2 days left to register to vote.
Very interesting kind of comment there, as previously he came out and said that if Trump is not elected, this will, quote, be the last election. He said that on his Twitter account, and then he went on a tangent explaining why it's very important to vote for Donald Trump and not for Biden and Harris. A very interesting endorsement. What do you guys think of it?
Who wants to take it first? Everyone's looking at me. I love that Elon Musk came out for Donald Trump, but then it also gives me, so you guys know I've talked about it here before. I have like this fantasy world where Trump wins and he's like, he's lived his whole life and he's like, now I'm going to be like the baddest president of all time and I'm going to do all these amazing things. And then there's the other side. Elon has a lot of government contracts and, I'm a little concerned. I go between two. I'm either like sold on Donald Trump and Elon Musk like saving the world, and then I'm like, meh, psyop.
Well, I think we need to understand Tesla only exists because of carbon credits by the federal
Right.
government. And
even though it's the best car in the whole wide world, and I absolutely love mine. Thank you very much.
I just like that it farts. but then the government got involved and it prevented it from farting.
What?
Yep, true story. And I was so pissed they like manually switched it on me. I was holding on to it longer than anyone else. You could drive, and instead of the horn, it farted. So I had a joy at the stop
I'm pretty
signs
sure you
and
can
the crosswalks.
You can program it for whatever you want. So
No,
just,
you can't do it anymore. You
They
got to
took it
stop now. The
away.
federal government, the freaking federal government got involved and said that it's
That's
illegal.
crazy.
And they
But
took
it
away
used to
my
play
farting
the
ability.
cucaracha and everything. Oh my god.
So yeah, you can't do
sorry,
that unless
Hotep,
you're,
you-
unless you're fully stopped now. Hotep, what do you think about the farting car Elon
I know he's over here like, what did I walk into? Why am I here?
Lord
This is a
Jesus.
very serious show. We take ourselves serious here. All right.
I'm just waiting for somebody to jailbreak the car.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's somebody
It's
has.
probably happened.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that the Elon endorsement is important. He's very influential, and I think that he sees kind of what I see. But as Martha was pointing out, yes, there's a lot of other reasons that he could be supporting Donald Trump. So I'm not going to diminish any of that. That could be the primary driving force. But I think a lot of us, including Elon, probably are just looking around going like, yo, they had a backdoor into Twitter. Like they were censoring the American people. This is very dangerous. This is very concerning. He knows it better than anybody. So we got to get these people out.
Yeah, well,
and I think it could be that simple.
Well,
it really could be.
Elon's justification was kind of explained in his tweet. He says, "Let me explain. If even 1 in 20 illegals become citizens per year, something that the Democrats are expediting as fast as humanly possible, that would be almost about 2 million new legal voters in 4 years. The voting margin in the swing states is often less than 20,000 votes. That means if the Democratic Party succeeds, there will be no more swing states." And he's absolutely right about that. As we saw what illegal immigration did to California, especially since Reagan kind of did amnesty and turned the state totally blue. And I think that's the larger kind of concerted effort here by the Democrats. And let's just be honest, if they win, they probably will never, ever be challenged ever again successfully politically, especially in larger kind of presidential elections.
Or crazy idea, what if we actually educated the American public? Like if public schools weren't all about the government and government giving you more things, we actually educated people, we actually talked about the real issues and actually started solving a few issues. I mean, these politicians haven't solved anything ever. So, there are solutions here. It doesn't have to all be by force. Maybe. Am I alone on this one?
No, I mean you're right, but the issue is that I think that the primary driving force behind the problems that we face are a product of the government. So this is the conundrum that we're stuck in, or the paradox, if you will, that like, yes, I agree with you, going through the political apparatus to remedy these issues is likely futile, but simultaneously these issues come from the government, and if you don't address it, it won't go away. So
will Donald Trump address the issues that cause
Probably
the
not.
government to be this way? I mean, it seems like a big problem for one guy to solve all on his own.
Your problems are a politician's solutions.
Explain that further, please.
Your problems are the solutions for politicians. Politicians, what do they want to do? They want to get rich, right?
Of course.
So the more money you got, the more problems you got, the more money they got.
Oh, sure. They
see what I'm
promised
saying?
to solve
So-
all of our problems.
All right. So the whole point of government to exist is to persist problems. The longer the problems exist, right? Okay.
Yes,
So
they're
who-
never going to
so-
solve anything.
So who
clearly.
so who do we take our problems to?
Oh, you're talking about the average American.
I'm talking about period. Like
We take responsibility for our
Yeah,
problems.
you're talking about libertarians
Right.
and anarchists here.
So-
We're
so-
kind of like,
so-
what problem?
right. So when you go to vote, what are you voting on?
someone else to take care of it.
Take care of what though?
Or
Right?
put them in.
like if we think about the elections this year, it's about Palestine and abortions, and it's just like, what does that have to do with us?
Yeah.
Right.
Or
Exactly.
Ukraine. Yeah.
Right. But we participate in those conversations with lens to it, right? We still go out and register to vote, right? We still participate. So what's the point in registering to vote?
That's a great question. What is
Isn't
the
it-
point?
Aren't you like basically saying, oh yeah, let me validate this government and saying it should exist
Mm-hmm.
because I believe in it, right?
Well, I think Splinter's argument was essentially that it's defensive to vote, and I agree with that assessment. That like, yes, it's probably not going to fix anything, but it might prevent some additional problems potentially. I also don't buy into the logic that like I'm endorsing the system because I cast a vote in opposition to the current regime. Like, I have voted my entire life. I don't think I've ever voted for a politician who won. You know, so can I be held responsible for?
Same.
You know what I mean?
And the only time I've actually felt like I won something, I didn't actually get to vote in it, and that was Argentina's election with Milei winning. I was like, yes, my guy finally won. I don't. Bless you. I don't. Yeah, I agree with that. I've never voted for either. Well, no, that's not true. I voted in 2001 for George W. I'm sorry, everyone.
It's okay. You were a young lady.
I was. I had no idea.
Are you voting for anyone, Hotep?
Doesn't sound like it.
We'll get into that answer on the next segment, which of course will be officially on thebestpoliticalshow.com. Go there over right now. The conversation continues for yet another hour as we are going to be leaving this kind of censorious, technocratic, centralized platform. And we're going to be going over to the free speech platforms where, of course, we will get to talk freely. Before going over there, Hotep, where can people find out more information about you?
HotepJesus.com.
Nice. That's a good website.
Thank you.
Nice.
Nice and simple.
Martha?
You can find me at Bueno for Miami on X and IG.
Shout out to Martha Bueno. Give her a follow. She was kind enough to come and help me out because I have family issues I have to attend to, so I'll be heading out in a few minutes. At Liberty Lockpod on X. If you want to support my work, subscribe there. I'll follow you back. Liberty Lockdown is the show. I also do Tower Gang. Don't subscribe to that, Steph.
Before you do, we got another video from Finboy Slick.
Oh, well, I'm going to hang out for that.
Sent us another admission. So
must-see horror films.
Where's the video?
It's in the chat. So.
Next segment.
Oh, okay. Well,
Steph
everybody,
WRC.
yeah, come to the next segment, you guys.
All right, we're gonna move over. You want to call in? You still can. Look Unfiltered.